Well, Lawrence, somehow or another, when he was studying all this stuff up, neglected to check context. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read the context. And we have to keep in mind that in verse 11 it says, and Jehovah spoke to Moses face to face. So in verse 17 it says this, and Jehovah went on to say to Moses, this thing too, of which you have spoken, I shall do, because you have found favor in my eyes, and I know you by name. At this he said, Moses said, cause me to see, please, your glory. So we see that Moses saw his face, but that wasn't good enough for Moses. Because in verse 11 it says he saw Jehovah face to face. But that wasn't good enough for Moses. Moses wanted everything. And he says, cause me to see your glory. And then it says in 19, but he said, I myself shall cause all my goodness to pass before your face, and I will declare the name of Jehovah before you, and I will favor the one whom I have favored, and I will show mercy to the one to whom I may show mercy. And he added, you are not able to see my face, because no man may see me and yet live. Well, what we ascertain from this is very simple. We have many words, even in our own language, the same identical word that means different things. We have the word in the Bible, sin has different meanings, but it's the same word, sin. We have the same word, love, in the Bible. Same word we see, but it has different meanings. And here we see the word face taking on two different meanings. On one hand, Moses saw the face of God in verse 11 and these other places I've mentioned. But here, Moses is looking for more. And when he's looking for more and he says, I want to see your glory, cause me to see your glory, God's saying, no, you can't see my face and live. And the context is, see my face in all its glory. It's that simple of an equation. So to try to use this text to say that no one can see the face of God, well, obviously no one can see the face of God with all its glory. But the face of God that Moses saw in verse 11 was, it had been covered. The glory, it's like taking a light, a bright light, and putting a cover over it, to where maybe it's a dark gel color, you see, and you can see light coming out, but it's not the same light on this side of the gel as what you see on the other side of the gel. Excuse me for a minute. I'm going to shut this phone off. I'm sorry for that problem. And so there we have a case of a bright light with a shade over it. And that's how it was with the face of God. God limited his glory when he encountered man, because man could not see the full glory of God in his face or in any part of him and still live. But once God limits himself, like he did in the person of Jesus Christ, like he did in the person of Jehovah standing before Abraham, then man is able to dialogue and correspond with God. And so that's basically the way it sits. Now, after that point that Lawrence brought up in reference to Exodus 33:20, he then moved, which kind of threw me a monkey wrench. He went to Isaiah 9:6, which really kind of flabbergasted me, because if we ever have a verse that shows that Jesus is Jehovah, it's Isaiah 9:6. But he had evidently not thought this verse through very well. and thinking that what this verse is really saying is that Jesus, it was the Son. It says a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and he thought that that was evidence enough to show the fact that Jesus was not God. But he didn't see that it said that, "In his name shall be called a wonderful counselor, mighty God, eternal Father." And I pointed this out to him, and I pointed out to him, hey, look, this is a big deal with the Jewish people. You take and you refer to someone as the mighty God, the eternal Father, that's a human being on earth, and they better be, otherwise they're going to be stoned. I mean, there's no two ways about it. This is called blasphemy. And this is why the Jews picked up stones to stone Jesus, because he said, "I and the Father are one," and they went ahead and they say, "You being a man, make yourself out to be God." No man, from a Jewish perspective, unless it's the Messiah, has the right, the very one spoken of here, to where it says a child will be born, a son will be given, the government will rest on his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father. And so it really, I tried to explain that, and I don't know how far I was getting with him on that point. So I said, well, we really, it's not just here that Jesus is called Jehovah, the Eternal Father. Let's take a look at Jeremiah. Let's take a look at Jeremiah 23. I suggested he take a look at that first. And so we turn to Jeremiah 23, 5 and 6. Now I'd like to read this verse to you. It's very interesting. It says this in the 5th verse. "Look, there are days coming," is the utterance of Jehovah. First question, who's talking? Jehovah's talking. There are days coming. These are the utterances of Jehovah. "And I will raise up to David a righteous sprout." Who will raise up a righteous sprout? Jehovah will raise up a righteous sprout. "And a king will certainly reign, and act with discretion, and execute justice and righteousness in the land." Who's the king and who's going to exercise this? The righteous sprout that Jehovah is going to raise up. "In his days, Judah will be saved." By who? The righteous sprout that Jehovah will raise up. "And Israel itself will reside in security. And this is his name." Whose name? The righteous sprout that Jehovah is going to raise up. "And this is his name, with which he will be called. Jehovah is our righteousness." That's the name of the righteous sprout. That's the name of the sprout that Jehovah is going to raise up. And it is, Jehovah is our righteousness. And so here we have in Isaiah 9:6, we have that the child will be born, the son will be given, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace, Mighty God, Eternal Father. And here we have him, that same person, the sprout that Jehovah is going to raise up, is going to be referred to as Jehovah is our righteousness. And so this is real simple things. Within the nature of the one God, there are three persons. Those three persons are the one God. Can God be in two different places at the same time? This was a question that I asked in our first meeting, and the answer is obviously he can be in two different places at the same time. So Jehovah not only can raise the righteous sprout up, but he can be the righteous sprout. And this is exactly what we the Christians believe. We believe God became a man. God became a man in the person of Jesus Christ. And that God is Jehovah, of the Old Testament is the Jesus of the New Testament that we call Jehovah. And that's why I say I'm a true Jehovah Witness.